Kongversation.
Well, I enjoyed that interview with Platonic. Still, now it's time to convince the President of the United States that alien reptoids are invading the planet!
What if the president's a reptoid himself? Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Chad McCanna.
And I'm Hyle Russell.
Woo! So, if you're a new listener, this is the Kongversation. This is normally what we do. Talk about news of the week, take calls, talk about if there's no news of the week, which up until very recently was the case. We try and dig deep into the archives of the Donkey Kong universe to find something to blather on about. But
we're the proctologist of the Donkey Kong universe. We really get in there, elbow deep.
Yeah, all of our Patreon money goes to our supply of latex gloves.
Yes. It's unfortunately Joe had a latex allergy, which is why he hasn't been on a show in a while.
Right. We're so sorry you broke out like you did, Joe. We are obviously, if you've looked at the key art or the title, discussing the state of Nintendo this week. But before we do, let's get through some due diligence.
Due diligence, that's right. Well, first of all, let's discuss Patreon, the aforementioned Patreon, where we buy our supply of latex.
Right.
Patreon is something we joined back in October, and basically it's like a pseudo subscription service to DK Vine. Yes, we give you content for free, but this gives you the next tier of content, a cut above, and it allows us to basically self-finance the site without having to dig deep into our life savings. So
I think before the Patreon we were self-financing. Now all of you are helping us finance.
No, well, that's what I meant, obviously, because I don't make mistakes.
So, there's lots of great rewards. Check it out at dkvine.com/Patreon or patreon.com/dkvine. And we have, if you donate $1 a month, we'll send you stickers in the mail, a physical thing.
By the way, if you have been giving us at least $1 a month, if you are a patron and you still haven't gotten your stickers, and if you signed up before last month and you still haven't gotten your stickers, that's probably because I still don't have your address. So this is a call out to everyone. Please get me your address. Just drop me a line. I don't care how you do it. It can be through Patreon. It can be through the forum, through Skype. However you know to find me. Find me. Get me your address. I'll get out your damn stickers ASAP.
I think that message only really applies to maybe 4 people listening. So
nah, there's still about 10 of you out there.
Okay.
So
it makes sense to derail a show that's listened to by several thousand people specifically for those 10.
Yeah, you know what? I don't care. I wake up in cold sweats during the night, worried that these people don't have their stickers. They don't have their diddle sticker.
Which, if you aren't familiar with our Patreon, that's not as obscene as it sounds.
Yeah. I'm really worried that the post office is gonna do an X-ray one day, and they're just gonna see the word "diddle" in an envelope that I'm sending out across the world. And
you're already on a list. I'm sure of it.
Well, I know I can never run for president, so that's fine.
Yeah. We both, as soon as we became "quote unquote" online personalities, we gave up our right to any public office.
Although I'm not sure what the criteria is anymore for that, so.
or for being online personalities.
But anyway, stickers. If you got the Minecraft server up and running for $2 a month, you guys are building some great things on there. The live map went up last week, and it's fantastic. You got structures in there from the Donkey Kong universe.
Yeah, not just pixel art, which is kind of how everyone on the Minecraft server started. And I think maybe at some point we should have a few people from DK Vinecraft, as we're calling it, on the show on a slow news week and ask about their builds. But yeah, there are
maybe we can do that on the Nintendo E3 episode
because we'll have nothing else to talk about. And we have to do a Nintendo E3 episode.
Oh, we have to. It's tradition.
It's tradition.
It's like Christmas.
Or this site's continued existence. It's tradition. So yeah, I think they're, in addition to those pixel art builds, which are pretty common in Minecraft servers. People are putting up the Brothers Bear huts around the landscape, the actual skyscraper from Donkey Kong Arcade, Cranky's potions hut from DK64 is in there, Banjo's house. There's a lot of really fantastic stuff, and $2 a month you can jump in and help contribute.
$5 a month. You can listen to the conversation live. Hi. And $10 a month. We really need to announce a new Let's Play with each other.
Yeah, we got to do like 3 of those now. My move from apartments earlier in the year kind of put a huge hamper on our ability to do the Let's Play with each others, in which we live stream and play multiplayer video games online with $10 and up folks. And we get on Skype with you guys, and the first one we did was a lot of fun. We just have a few queued up now.
Yes. So I think the month of May it needs to be just blowing through those.
It's going to be Let's Play May.
Hey, that's like Rocktober. I love that.
If we're as good as the dizzying heights of Rocktober, then we'll be doing something right.
So yeah, if you want to get on that action in May, we're going to have 3 of them. 3 of them. That's at the $10 tier a month. You can jump in on that. You can play with me and Chad. We'll do various games. I think we've got a few ideas of the games we're going to play. Games that you people will more than likely, you'll at least own one of them. So, we'll get to that. But yeah, DK Vine, Patreon, help the site, and hey, E3 is coming, and we know Yooka-Laylee and Sea of Thieves will be there, so
right.
If you want to get the inside scoop on that, we'll be directly on the show floor, which would be a great time to join the inner circle.
Mm-hmm. Provided our internet connections on the show floor hold out.
Well, we'll plug away. I think we found a good spot near those men's rooms that I'm so infatuated with.
The less said about that, the better.
The less said about that, the better. Speaking of the smell of urine, join the DK Vine forum. It is the congregation place for all fans of the Donkey Kong universe, and E3 season, which I think unofficially kicked off this week with the news we've gotten, there's no better time to be on DK Vine than E3 season. The DK Vine forum, it is like a week-long festival, and I've had so many fond memories of it through the years. You definitely want to get on it. That's dkvine.com/forum. Subscribe to the conversation on iTunes. Don't forget to give us a rating on iTunes. And you can follow DK Vine itself on Facebook, on Twitter, on Tumblr, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube.
And you can access all of those by going to dkvine.com/the social media venue of your choice.
We make it really easy for you. You don't even have to go to Google.
Yeah. Just go to our domain and type in whatever you want, and chances are there will be something that shows up.
I predict in a year we'll be bigger than Google.
Yes. I have no reason to disagree with that prediction. Tell your friends. That's really the best thing you can do to support the show. Turn someone else who's video game minded onto it, and hopefully they'll do it as well, and we'll pay it forward like a pyramid scheme. Donate to the Patreon.
Like Haley Joel Osment. He dies in that movie,
The pyramid scheme?
Oh, pay it forward.
Oh, yeah. Who was in that? Sam Neill? Who was in Pay It Forward?
Wasn't it, what's his name? Spacey and Helen Hunt?
Oh, Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
Why did I think British? Okay. Anyway.
This was the 90s before all the Brits took our roles.
Yes. Looking at you, Hiddleston.
Donald Trump's going to bring American roles back for American men.
So this week, we are talking about Nintendo, but I think the
hold
jumping
on,
off
Chad.
point
Hold on,
is
Chad.
Yeah, okay. Sorry.
I don't want to put you on the spot here. I don't want to make you blush, but I just want to. We were pimping the rare Sea of Thieves contest that ended this week, and I just wanted to say how much I loved your entry.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I threw my hat in the ring to hopefully I'll hear good news. But there are a lot of really fantastic entries. So it was honestly just a lot of fun to do a creative thing that's in no way related to DK Vine, or at least is only tangentially related.
I mean, it related subject matter. It related to DK Vine. It's not like you did Green Porn City the movie or anything,
right? Which is not a porn site that Hyle and I worked on. It's actually a comic strip that has no relation to porn whatsoever. ever that we did in like 2002.
I think it was as physically taxing as porn is.
Yeah, draining.
Yeah.
In a way. But no, it was just a lot of fun to stretch my wings a bit, and I'd never really written a poem like that before, so it was cool.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of fantastic stuff. I saw someone did it like a fully 3D animated short film for Sea of Thieves. Kev Rose from, I guess, our sister site, Rare and Friends.
Sister from another mister.
Our subset site. He put together a kind of like a parody of art films, which was really funny. There's some great stuff out there, so I'm in good company.
Yes. But anyway, I just wanted to make you blush. I wanted to see those cheeks turn red.
Oh yeah, well no, I immediately deflected it onto others. I have no idea how to take praise. But
yeah, I would say you're the most humble man I know, Chad. But it is hard for you to take a compliment.
Yeah, no, I'm not deserving. It's that vestigial Catholic guilt. I'm like one generation removed, but it still got me.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to make any Catholic jokes because we've gotten in hot water there before.
Might have a new audience this week.
I know the Pope is listening. I know he is.
He's a big fan. He's the progressive Pope, the people's Pope.
He is. He likes humanitarian policies, and he likes ukulele. So, but turning our attention this week to Nintendo. Now, originally, this episode, I had it planned that this episode we were going to have a big frothy debate about Star Fox Zero, which I don't think either one of us has any interest in actually buying. So it would have been very hypocritical of us to get on a soapbox and complain about, Star Fox, when we barely played it. You've played it more than I have because you played it at E3. But
I played it for all of 15 minutes. Yeah. While being chattered at by a booth attendant.
Right. So I this whole episode is going to be structured around Star Fox Zero because, as you may be aware, not you, Chad, because I know you know, but you at home may be aware, DK Vine does have a relationship with the Star Fox franchise. It's a little weird, but it's mostly through Dinosaur Planet, which started life as a Diddy Kong Racing spinoff, became Star Fox Adventures before release, but still retained the Diddy Kong Racing-esque spinoff properties in Tricky the Triceratops. And then we got two pseudo-sequels to that made by Namco and somebody else. I forget who made Command.
Who did Command?
Who did Command? Anyway,
let's say I don't know. I honestly have no idea.
Yeah. Well,
let's say it was Namco. Sure.
Let's say Namco made both. That's not accurate, but let's just
say.
Good
job, Namco.
So yeah, we cover 3 Star Fox games on our website as part of the Donkey Kong universe because of those Diddy Kong Racing connections. But
right. That's really what DK Vine is focused on, is character connections. So from Diddy Kong Racing, you get Tricky the Triceratops in Star Fox Adventures, and then from Star Fox Adventures, you got Crystal and Crystal showing up in both Assault and Command, and Tricky also showing up in Assault.
Yes. Yeah, Assault had an entire mission that took place on Dinosaur Planet. So
right.
It was I love Assault, but so we're going to talk about Star Fox Zero and kind of bitch that this game is a pseudo reboot. But I
think our disdain for reboots as a general concept is pretty well documented.
It is. I mean, especially since DK Vine itself is a lore heavy site. We love continuity. We love canon. We love treating these things as an actual history that happened, and to treat it like silly putty instead, it's not something I've ever been on board with. And really, when you look at the entertainment media, movies, TV shows, we're really kind of getting away from reboots. I think Sony Pictures is really the only one stubbornly clinging to the very concept of rebooting properties that have a fan base. Otherwise, you get these loose continuations, or you have in-universe mechanisms for the reboot. So,
well, is Sony the one? For example, like 21 Jump Street. I think in comedies, reboots are very common. Is Sony the one spearheading all those comedy reboots that we're seeing?
Yes, Ghostbusters, Jumanji. They're rebooting Jumanji. Which,
are you serious?
Yeah, like the whole
That's from like 1995.
I
It had
know.
CGI.
Robin Williams' body is not even cold yet, and they're rebooting it with The Rock and Kevin Hart.
Why? The Rock was
I know.
active in that era. I mean, it's not even like the next generation Jumanji. It's
And the thing about Jumanji is like it could just be a new family gets the game, like it baked into the
It can
concept. You
literally
don't need to
be
reboot it.
Yeah. Do you think we can hope for a Zathura remake soon?
Oh man, I really pity the people who follow the Jumanji shared universe because these must be dark days for them. But no, I mean, besides some stubborn holdouts who have seen their better days in the entertainment industry, reboots have kind of phased out last couple years, and now you get.
I don't know. I question that because I'm also thinking of Disney's rebooting The Jungle Book actively at the moment. You know, like
okay, but it's a live action remake. It's not
but they did a live action remake in the 90s.
It wasn't Disney who did that Jungle Book.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Disney does not own the property The Jungle Book. It's Kipling novels, but
Yeah.
there's specific Disney characters, like King Louie is a Disney exclusive character. I know Mamechi is listening to this, taking notes, and he's going to point out where I get this wrong, but
Friend of the show.
yes, Mamechi, noted Disney fan. Also Carla Gurney, also another Disney fan, both in the DK Vine inner circle, which is how I know the intricacies of their fandoms. But
We may be hearing from Mamechi more times than we would like later on in the show.
how's that different from any other week? I'm honestly surprised he didn't gay crash our Platonic interview last week.
Just somehow injected himself into the Skype call.
It burst out of Andy Robinson's chest like a xenomorph. No, but yeah, so there's actually another live action Jungle Book in the works right now from a different studio other than Disney. So anyway.
Oh, that's the one that Andy Serkis is working on.
Yes. So yeah, but my point is you see continuations or soft continuations more often than not nowadays than you did a decade ago. So we come to Star Fox Zero, and this is, I think, the first notch in a really terrible week for Nintendo fans. And I say this knowing that Star Fox Zero has its fans. If you enjoy Star Fox Zero, I'm not saying you're wrong. I have not played it. And honestly, I wish I could be excited about it. I wish I could enjoy it. I never come at these positions from oh, you like something, you're wrong. It's always, oh, I wish I could like it as much as you do. I have sympathy for no. I
feel the pain of your opinions.
I feel sympathy for myself, I guess is what I was going to say. No, I don't know. It's not that I'm butthurt because my precious continuity was sort of rebooted with Star Fox. It's just I wish I could be excited about it, but I can't because my continuity has been rebooted. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Star Fox continuity is kind of a mess after Command's multiverse.
Command kind of screwed the pooch. Screwed the General Pepper, I guess you could say. Command had multiple endings. Now, granted, fighting games have multiple endings all the time, and usually they just pick one as the canon ending, or just kind of ignore it. So I don't think it's as big of a deal as people make out. I think there's a certain subset of Nintendo fans who were just hungry for a reboot because they didn't appreciate that Rare kind of moved the timeline forward and introduced new characters. For some reason, Star Fox 64 is revered to the point where if you deviate slightly from the makeup of that, then there's hell to pay.
Which is frustrating because Star Fox 64 in and of itself is a pretty superficial update to Star Fox on the Super
would say it's
Nintendo.
superficial. I would say it's a substantial update of Star
fair
Fox.
enough.
It has full voice acting. It did things that Star Fox and the chip in the Super NES cartridge couldn't do.
It forced your parents to buy a Rumble Pack.
Then come packaged with the Rumble Pack? I thought it came packaged with the Rumble Pack.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah.
I remember it launching the Rumble Pack. I didn't realize it was pre-packed.
Yeah, because I had a Rumble Pack because it came with Star Fox, and then I used it for Diddy Kong Racing, which it didn't work properly like 10% of the time with Diddy Kong Racing. Did you ever notice that?
Well, I never got a rumble pack until way later in my N64 life, and which frustrated me immensely when I got in Ocarina of Time. I got the Stone of Agony, and I couldn't use it, so I didn't know where any of those secrets were. But yeah, I only got it very late in the system's life.
Okay, yeah. I didn't use the Rumble Pack too much. I think after the first year, it just annoyed me because it was just so imprecise compared to later rumble mechanisms built into the controller that I just kind of let it gather dust. I don't think I ever used it for any games after Diddy Kong Racing.
So we have a few calls to get on this episode, and a few of them I think are specifically about Star Fox. Since I think with the news of today, we decided to broaden the scope of the episode, but we still do have some dedicated SFZ calls.
Well, let's start with them then. Let's get the Star Fox stuff out of our system before moving on to other items about Nintendo's general fuck-uppery.
Ooh.
Oh, Kevin! I am the Warp Stone. I was wondering why it is that I am Scottish.
Sounds like Scrap's South African accent.
I was quarried in Scotland, but the stone that makes my warpiness from Scotland? Or was it that the Krazoa spirits, the Krazoa people, whatever it was, themselves were Scottish? Or some of them. Perhaps there was Krazoas who lived in Scotland. Perhaps I lived in Scotland before scampering off to Dinosaur Planet.
Improv.
Was I quarried before or after World War II? These are things that I would like to know. Please answer. Thank you. Bye.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, caller. I guess I know who this was. This has to be the master of the Nintendo DS.
Okay. Well, it sounded like Scraps for a while there.
Well, I don't know what that accent. On Twitter, he was asking about the Warp Stone's accent last week, so I'm assuming that's him. It's extremely tangential to the call, but I don't think the Warp Stone is Scottish.
No, he's got a Scottish accent, but he himself cannot be Scottish. I think you just have to accept that in the vast, wide universe, you're going to have accents that sometimes double up.
Yeah.
It sounds like a Scottish accent, especially when you hear it in English, but I think it's... The implication is maybe the Krazoa did speak with a Scottish accent. Because remember, Andros did too at the end of that game.
Yeah, well, so I think that, geez, I wonder who did the voices in that game. I think the fact that Fox, when he landed on Soria, was able to speak with the Warp Stone, all that tells us is that the Warp Stone is able to speak the common language of the Lilat system, whereas most of the dinosaurs on the planet required that translation device.
Right. Which, maybe the common language is English if they learned it from World War II transmissions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or that's
possibly.
Just that. I mean, that's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense, but I like that explanation.
Hey, Einstein, you want to take another
Einstein.
call?
That's... I would like to point out, though, that I wonder if Billy Connolly, the pedophile priest from the second X-Files movie, was also Krazoan.
I don't think that's Billy Connolly. I think it's a character he was playing.
Oh, Billy Connolly is not a pedophile priest?
Not as far as I'm aware.
Oh, good. Then I can be a fan of his again. Thank God. Hey,
You've
is
been
Bill Cosby
blacklisting him?
Does that mean Bill Cosby isn't actually a horrible rapist?
No, he's actually a ghost dad.
Now I just don't know what to think.
Let's take another one.
Star Fox Zero. It's absolute trash game I've ever played in my life. I regret buying it, and it is just the worst game I've ever played in my life.
This is Mamechi.
Yeah, aforementioned
Here's the
Mamechi.
thing. I wouldn't mind a reboot if the game was actually good. Because, Nintendo's thing is, oh, well, at the end of the day, story doesn't matter, gameplay does, okay? But when the gameplay's crap, there's no use in defending it. In fact, here's my theory. I think you guys might agree. You see, I think that Nintendo realized that Star Fox Zero is going to have some mixed reception of the motion controls and everything. So, desperate bid to, win over the fan base, they decided to make the storyline a Star Fox 64 redo, basically. So they could, so they could try to get the people who think this is going to be a 64 thing, when really it's just completely terrible motion control mess. It's an awful game. It's really, really bad. it's just bad.
Mamechi,
I don't know what else to say, but this reboot, it's like it's like Ghostbusters. Was there really a point for a reboot that's just going to do the same exact thing the original did? When you could just do, but with some differences, like what we need. Man, this game just sucked. It broke me. Star Fox Zero is the worst Nintendo game I ever played. I mean it.
We're like halfway through this call.
It's awful. It's
Be
the
nice,
worst
Chad.
game
He's
I've ever
broken.
played. I mean that. I mean it. It's the worst game I've ever played.
Okay, Mamechi, I'm cutting you off. You have now joined the elite ranks of Scrap 69 for being the second person ever cut off on the show.
It's 1:45 a.m. You're cut off. It was last call.
You don't have to go home, but you can't call here.
Thanks for the call, Mamechi.
Thank you for the call. And you can always call, Mamechi. I think we get your point. And honestly, good for you for actually purchasing the game before weighing in on it. I feel wholly unqualified to say whether Star Fox Zero is good or bad, but look, what I have heard is that you do ultimately get used to the controls after about 5 or 6 hours, but by that point, you're already done with the game.
Yeah, okay, so here's my thing. Here's why I don't want to judge the quality of Star Fox Zero, because I have not played it. And I am a huge advocate for Star Fox Assault, a game that's usually reviled on the internet.
And why is that? Is it because of all the Landmaster and on-foot missions?
I think it evolved the gameplay too much, but it didn't have the cloak of this was made by Miyamoto to give it internet immunity.
You really think it's fanboyism, huh?
I think a little bit. I think after Star Fox Adventures, people just wanted Star Fox 64 again. If not in the story, but in just gameplay. And they just wanted R-Wing based on-rail missions. And I think Star Fox Assault approached it as, let's take Star Fox 64 and turn it up a notch.
Okay.
And I love it. I think it's better than Star Fox 64. Sacrilegious, I know, but the only thing it doesn't have are quote heavy memes that Star Fox 64 does.
Does anyone barrel roll in the entirety of Star Fox Assault?
You can barrel roll, but I don't think I don't know. I don't remember it ever being said. Do a barrel roll, because I don't think that became haha internet funny until after the game came out.
Oh, there's no like Peppy doesn't run an academy for barrel rolling techniques.
No, which I imagine is coming in a future Star Fox iteration, assuming this isn't the final Star Fox game ever.
I saw a hilarious shirt that they gave out to the media. This said Barrel Roll Academy. I'm a barrel roller.
Here's my thing, Mamechi. So Mamechi doesn't like the gameplay, can't speak for the gameplay, but here's the problem with rebooting Star Fox 64. The only game in the franchise people seem to like. Maybe Star Fox SNES they like, but it barely gets mentioned anymore.
And you know what was so frustrating about that is that they had planned and I think completely made a Super Nintendo sequel to Star Fox 2, which actually evolved the concept and the gameplay.
Yeah, and it introduced a lot of things Star Fox 64 did, like Star Wolf. They made their debut in that game, but it was never released, and I'm not really sure why.
I think you can find a ROM of it.
You can, yeah. So there's Star Fox fans who count it as, official canon. I personally don't, because it was never got an official Nintendo release. It would be like us saying Diddy Kong Pilot is a real game that happened because we can play choppy leaked ROMs. But
right.
Yeah, the thing is, Star Fox 64 is so renowned, and really, I mean, it was the game that they couldn't make on the SNES, but they fully made it on the N64. I don't really see how you evolved it to the point where you had to remake it again, where this is Star Fox 64, but we just couldn't tell this on the N64. We just had to remake it again for the Wii U. It's the problem with rebooting something that's considered a bona fide classic. It's always going to fail to live up. Yeah. Always. The best reboots are of things that had a good concept but were executed terribly.
Yeah, and also just the one thing that it really does change. I mean, the visuals are slightly updated. I would say last gen updated, but maybe that was an effort to keep the frame rate cranking at 60, which shouldn't be an issue, but we're talking about the Wii U. The controls themselves seem to be the only new selling point, and even those aren't a home run. So I don't know. I really don't know what the appeal is of this game, and I think that we might have hit saturation point for Star Fox 64 remakes for that sake alone, because it's not doing so well on the Metacritics of the world.
No, granted, that's not everything, but it is a good barometer at least. I mean, Tropical Freeze's Metacritic score was botched because of that one terrible review, but
yeah.
I'm still a little butthurt about that, but
that's two butthurts for you in this episode.
You know what? My ass aches today. I was talking about proctology, and I realized, you know what? I need to visit one. I don't know. I really don't get it. Like, there's lots of gaps in the Star Fox timeline. Fine, you want to go back to the classic team so you can have Peppy in an R-Wing, haha, barrel rolls, haha, this, that, the other. Then set it after Star Fox 64. There's a huge window of time that, where you could have games taking place after Star Fox 64, but because there's 7 years between Star Fox 64 and Adventures.
Right. Like, tell us the story of Falco leaving Team Star Fox.
Right. If you want to still have Crystal on the team, I can't believe nobody's complaining that they got rid of the one starring female of the cast just so they could have an all-male team again.
What about, I'm just going to say, Monica Toad? Or there was a lady Toad at one point.
Oh, okay, yeah, and there's Kat, yeah, but I mean, as far as starring roles, like females that are there in every mission, Crystal is it. And does internet revulsion for Crystal outweigh social justice warriors in this regard?
Let's just not engage with any of that.
I don't know. I mean, it's a worthwhile thing to consider, at least, because I don't know. I think it's pretty kind of regressive in 2016 to ditch the one lady of Team Star Fox and go back in time. But okay, let's say they didn't do that. You could still set it after Star Fox Assault, before Command, if you want to avoid the whole Command multiple endings thing. Or you could just forge ahead and say, okay, this one Command ending is what happened, and then this and this happened. This takes place after Command, but we're just moving on with a timeline.
Wasn't there a Command ending that was kind of setting up a next generation Team Star Fox?
Yeah.
I forget who was the elder statesman. I don't think it was Peppy, unless he was just hanging on the sidelines. But it was like several children of Fox, Slippy, Falco, and possibly a grandchild of Peppy, and one of them was around as the mentor figure, and it seemed like that would have been the obvious canonical ending if they wanted to progress further.
Right, and you could have done that, or you could have gone back in time and have a game centered around the original Team Star Fox with James McCloud, Peppy, and Pigma. I would be very interested in that because Pigma's hilarious. I love Pigma. But yeah,
isn't he the one? Your daddy screamed real good before he died.
Yeah, it's just that is the one that should be a meme from Star Fox 64 because it is the bleakest line Nintendo's ever written in any of their games. It's just does not belong in a Nintendo game, and it's hilarious.
Was it also Pigma that said "cocky little freaks"? Or was that Andrew?
Yeah, it was. It might have been Leon. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, Leon Pawalski. I don't know why he's Polish.
Star Fox is a weird series.
Really
think about it. But I mean, my thing about this, and maybe we should move on after this because I too have kind of reached my saturation point. I stepped in it a bit on the forum this last week trying to engage this topic of conversation, and people are a little upset that we're not covering this game. People who have gotten used to us covering Star Fox games.
Yeah, well, look, we don't make the rules, except we do, but we have to follow them, except we don't always, but we're still talking about it for half an episode.
Right. I look, there's no characters for us to cover in this game, so we didn't cover it. Yeah, they mentioned Soria in an animated short that's not part of the actual game. Okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
That still doesn't count.
Although I am glad to see that, Slippy and crew, I think it was Slippy that mentioned it in the cartoon, which, by the way, can we talk about the animation in that cartoon? It was so irritating to watch.
Why were you irritated, Chad?
It was obviously done with 3D models being very lightly animated, and they put this cell shading filter over it to make it look like the anime visual style, but they also intentionally reduced the frame rate of the 3D animation, which it's all mathematical. There's no reason to do that, just so it would look like it was a much more labor-intensive hand-drawn thing. It was like lazily appropriating an anime style without actually putting forth that effort, and then downsampling the animation so that it would look like the harder, less robust visual style. It was just like, I know what they were trying to do, but even attempting it was wrong-headed.
Yeah.
It annoyed me. It got under my skin.
I honestly didn't care enough about it to really. It's a piece of promotional whatever.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but I understand your point. I could see where that would really irritate someone like you who has had more of a hand in animation than I have. Everybody was approaching me because they mentioned Soria, and I was like, oh yeah, dinosaur.
Yeah, I got a Facebook message like at 3 a.m. one night from someone. I think it might have been Malik, and someone was asking, "So does this mean it's DKU?" No, sorry, buddy, but it's not.
I think I just ignored all the Facebook messages on DK Vide's Facebook page because I ringoed it. I couldn't be bothered.
I really think like we need to revisit the term Donkey Kong Universe at some point. It's becoming problematic.
It's a tradition, like the Nintendo E3 episode. But
yeah,
no, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this point. I've kind of gone around and around. I just. When Nintendo embraces their history with things like Smash Brothers, so why would you want to convolute your history by continually remaking the same game and confusing your canons as a result? How is that going to work in the next Star Fox game? And why how's this going to work in future like virtual consoles? You're essentially going to be selling people the same game in different configurations. Why not just make a full-on sequel with new content? I like full-on new content, like new planets, new bosses, they recycle the bosses from Star Fox 64. They put them in a different order, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, why indeed? I mean, why do you think they did this? Is it just the logical extension of Nintendo's gameplay first edict, and the story was sort of a lesser idea? Because I mean, Star Fox Zero, we've been seeing this at E3 since 2014.
2014. We knew the name Star Fox Zero from last year, but it was first revealed at E3 2014.
Yeah, and they've got a lot of those sort of what they were going to release as episodic installments.
That's right.
Yeah, you remember this? It was going to be like a huge downloadable thing.
Hey, remember this, Kev?
Hey, how about this, Kev? Yeah, it's wild, man. But that ultimately turned into, I think there's like a supplementary minigame collection.
Star Fox Guard.
Yeah, it's Slippy and his Uncle Grippy, who has a mustache.
They couldn't even use Beltino Toad from Star Fox Assault.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Beltino. What's with the names in Star Fox?
So ethnic, yeah.
Yeah. I'm a Butina Toad. Hello, Leonard Kowalski. I don't know why he's Mario.
They're cutting back at Nintendo. They can only afford the one voice actor now.
This is definitely not Charles Martinet. Do a barrel roll.
I would actually, that might improve Star Fox Zero.
Every voice is Mario. Your daddy screamed real good before he died. So let's talk about Nintendo, unless you have anything else to say.
I was just going to bitch about the lack of amiibos for this game. It's clear.
Oh, yeah.
It's clear to me that Nintendo knew this game was going to fail. They set it up for failure several months back. By decided no amiibos, no Peppy amiibo, no Slippy amiibo, no Rob 64 amiibo. We're not going to do any amiibos for this game.
Baffling decision.
Like Wolf amiibo. I was going to say there's a Wolf amiibo, but there's not because he was cut from Smash 4. Yeah, there's no Wolf amiibo. I thought amiibos were still a license to print money. I haven't looked at the sales figures. Maybe, I'm sure they've slowed down over time. But
so has the release schedule of Amiibo. I mean, I feel like their sales are probably keep pace with how often they keep churning them out. I mean, they haven't. When was the last big collection they had of Amiibo? What didn't they have an Animal Crossing one?
Animal
there
Crossing,
was the Mario Party series.
Well, there's the Mario line from over a year ago, and they never released the second wave of those that they had planned because Donkey Kong was going to be in that, a new Donkey Kong. And then I think the only traction Amiibos had besides Animal Crossing is they re-released a bunch of Pokemon figures in store to tie in with, I guess, Pokken.
Pokken Tournament, the Tekken crossover thing.
Yeah. Which terrible name, terrible portmanteau, people.
Pokken. Yeah, not a huge fan of that one. By the way, we are, as we said at the top of the show, we are live streaming this. So in our Twitch chat, David Lynch, friend of the site, former editor on DK Vine, has pointed out that Nintendo was originally going to make a transforming R-Wing amiibo, but they couldn't get it to work. But if that's the case, why not release a Wolf amiibo? Like, what are they doing? You could still release the Chicken Walker, Nintendo. People just won't play with it like a Transformer.
I just love that. Just sums up Nintendo right now. They were going to do something, but they couldn't get it to work, so they just didn't.
Psych.
Star Fox Zero. It's a game I really do not care about, and it just hurts me as a fan of at least 2 out of those 3 Star Fox games we cover. And I, as somebody who did care about the lore that was built up, because really there was some extensive continuity and pathos baked into those games.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw characters get horrifically maimed, murdered, retire, sometimes, all 3. And I don't know, I cared about what happened to them. By the end of Star Fox Assault, man, I was invested. And I can't wait to do a spotlight episode about that one day because I have a lot to say. My favorite traditional Star Fox game by far. So it's just a shame that we're probably never going to get that with Star Fox again. And judging by the reaction to this game, we may never get another Star Fox game, at least for several generations.
Oh, they'll one day they'll dust off that license if they don't release another one on the NX. It'll come eventually.
Yeah, F-Zero fans still tell themselves that. One day.
But that's a little different because Nintendo does have a dedicated racing franchise in Mario Kart, whereas they don't have a dedicated space shooter.
Well, speaking about dedicated racing franchises, we need to touch upon this other bit of Nintendo news before we move on to, I think, the big atom bomb that dropped on the gaming world today. Okay. Monster Games is definitely working on some kind of racing game, Chad.
Okay. All right. Well, where does this come from?
This came from software engineer Joshua Ruiz. Ruiz. Thank you. I'm so white.
Yeah. You might even go as far as Ruiz.
It's like I built a wall over my vocabulary. But he updated his LinkedIn profile. He works for Monster Games, and he one of the tasks he's been doing is building a career and championship mode in this unannounced Monster Games game. And all the news sites apparently are running with this rumor using Diddy Kong Racing artwork to speculate that it could be Diddy Kong Racing.
Are they really?
NX, yes. So
Wow.
the rumor is alive, my friend. Hashtag I still believe in Kevin Callahan.
This just will not die, will it?
Our very first episode of The Kongversation was about this rumor. And here we are in our 4th season, still speculating. I love it because this is like Saberman Stampede last decade, where Saberman Stampede became this totem that we held on to, this golden calf that we worshipped for like half a decade. Every E3, this is the year we're going to see Saberman Stampede.
Has to be.
And we never saw it, but we never gave up hope until ultimately we gave up hope because Rare confirmed the game was dead.
Yeah, like we know where Saberman Stampede is. It's on a hard drive somewhere at Rare.
Yeah,
like
so
there's in a partially complete state.
Right. So I love that we have a new game that's like this. On the other side of the tracks at Nintendo, but all the same. Because it's Nintendo, we'll probably never know the truth if we never get it. But however, we will not be playing any Diddy Kong Racing game at E3. That much we know.
Yeah. I'm just impressed that you can learn this kind of stuff on LinkedIn. I need to stop ignoring every message I ever get on that site.
I signed up for it, and that was the biggest mistake of my life because apparently everybody I've ever known wants to contact me on LinkedIn. And I'm just like, no. Like I was in 2nd grade with you. What the hell do I care about what you're doing with LinkedIn?
I do get a few of those, but for certain industries, it's helpful. I mean, it facilitated my move to New York via connections on there, but it's it's not a social media platform the way Facebook is.
Right. Strangely enough, I was getting a lot of people on LinkedIn asking me if Star Fox Zero is DKU because of the story I mentioned. Really frustrating.
Also, would you like to interview? We have a position that might be up your alley.
Right. So okay, this is the big dispiriting news for some. For me, it's I don't know how to take this yet. The big news is that Nintendo has delayed the new Legend of Zelda game for the NX and Wii U to March of 2017.
So, okay. So, first, a couple things. First, is it a delay? Did they announce the date previously? Did they say it was a fall thing?
It's a delay in that yes, it has to be a delay.
Okay.
Not officially. I don't think they're saying it's a delay, but come on.
Because I see a lot of people talking about the NX coming out in March 2017 as a delay, but Nintendo certainly never announced a release date for that. Everyone just assumed it would be November, but I think that it probably is actually a delay for Zelda.
You know why it's a delay, Chad? Because capitalism. because the holiday
the hearts
season,
and minds of the public demanded an autumn release.
No, because Santa demanded a holiday 2016 release. I mean, they're not gonna. I mean, what are they gonna have for Christmas, for Hanukkah, for Ramadan? Wait, Ramadan when is Ramadan this year?
Ramadan, I don't know. Is it kind of like Easter? It's different every year. Keeps you on your toes.
I mean, it fluctuates. The month of Ramadan changes. It cycles through the whole calendar. So
really? Like it goes all the way around?
Yeah. Ramadan 2016. It starts in June this year. So E3. Ramadan is during E3 this year. So
okay, fair enough.
So I guess you will have Zelda for Ramadan for 3 days at least. You'll be able to play it.
Yeah, it's my favorite stretch of Ramadan.
So yeah, apparently, the only game that Nintendo is bringing to E3 this year as a playable game is Zelda. The Wii U version of Zelda, not the NX version. The Wii U version.
So, and I think they previously said regarding the NX, we won't have anything else to say about it until next E3. I don't know if they used that explicit language, but again, the assumption was that we would be learning something about the NX. Do you feel like in their E3 Direct, they're going to at least touch on it, or will it just be another kick the ball down the field a bit?
Well, let me read the quote.
Okay.
And we can kind of try. We can try to mine for gold. We can try to pan in the river of this quote. Try to get some little nuggets out of it. All right.
Yeah.
Nintendo changes its approach to the show every year. This June, Nintendo will focus its attentions on the upcoming game in the Legend of Zelda series. The Wii U version of the game will be playable for the first time on the E3 show floor, and it will be the only playable game Nintendo presents at the show, in order to provide attendees a complete immersion.
Wait, hang on. Wait. All right, so I don't know what the square footage of Nintendo's booth is going to be. But there's only so much immersion that you can get in an environment where you are being constantly assaulted by media from every direction and every sense on your body.
Yeah.
What the hell are they... Like, that's a special level of spin. Someone used to work in Washington for a presidential candidate.
I was gonna say that's a level of spin even Ted Cruz would roll his eyes at.
Yeah,
and then it says,
"Oh man!"
It says additional information about Nintendo's E3 plans will be announced in the future. So
feels like they pretty much covered it.
Well, okay. So I imagine based on that last quote that this isn't the total story. Like, okay, as far as playable games, yeah. Which, given our experience last year in Nintendo land at E3, I honestly don't care what the hell is playable on the show floor, because it was such a miserable experience trying to play games at the Nintendo booth or whatever. But
it's strange because they have games. They have stuff they could show. They've announced Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing versions for iOS devices. They have Pokemon Sun and Moon coming out. Like, there are things Nintendo could be showing.
Yeah, if they don't want to show, and I think it's to disguise the fact that the NX will not be ready to show. And I think they're doing a big dramatic shooting themselves in the foot to avoid the festering infection on the other foot. You know, they're trying to kind of look over here at this huge mistake we're making, and so you don't see this other mistake we're making.
So you really think it's a distraction? They're like lighting themselves on fire to distract from the fact that that they're exploding.
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Because otherwise, if they're not ready to show off any NX games, and I assume this is where Retro's game they've been working on for years since Tropical Freeze, Retro's game is going to be tied up in the NX, obviously, because the Wii U is dead. It is dead. Ukulele and Zelda are pretty much going to be the last big games for the NX. And Ukulele is a multi-platform, which is, ridiculous. Not
Wait,
that
how is that ridiculous?
No, that Nintendo might be banking on a game that's multi-platform, an indie game essentially that's multi-platform.
Oh, I don't know if Nintendo is banking on that. I would imagine it's at the top of Nintendo's indie game radar, because look at the people making it. But I doubt. I think they're still considering it as an indie title that's outside their control.
They may not know they're banking on it, but they're going to be banking on it. Trust me.
Wow.
So yeah, but I think if they did come to E3 with what they could show, which would be Zelda for the Wii U and not the NX, which is where most people are probably going to buy it, the new Pokemon and the iOS games, then it would be a ridiculously small showing. So this way, the complete immersion, whatever, that's BS, but at least this way they kind of make the narrative something else.
Well, we have a couple calls about this, about the larger Nintendo topic. Should we take a few?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey guys, ACZ here, and I just wanted to ask you a quick question. What the hell was that Nintendo news last night? I mean, seriously? But anyways, I guess you guys have probably already explained it by now. Let me just get to the question. Do you think Nintendo is over E3, much like a lot of other companies? Because it just seems like not only Nintendo this year, but plenty of other companies have decided to drop out or just do their own thing. And it makes me think that perhaps E3 doesn't have much longer in it. as opposed to maybe them recreating another game expo, but this time, open to the public instead of just being, an insider exclusive thing. But what do you guys think? I know you're still partially excited because you're going to be covering Sea of Thieves and Yooka-Laylee, and that's all good and all, but it sounds like that's going to be about it. I mean, Zelda is going to be the only playable game. I mean, that's just very confusing. I mean, do we even know if we're actually getting anything Donkey Kong related this winter? I mean, this would be the first time in years that this has happened? Anyways, I'd like to hear your guys' just general thoughts, and yeah, is E3 done with? Does Nintendo not care about E3 anymore? Do you think they're not taking it seriously? I just want to know what your thoughts. Anyways, see you guys, and by the way, Chad, good luck on the Sea of Thieves contest. It closed today. Good luck. See ya.
Thank you, ACZ, and likewise. Appreciate the call. This is something that I think the writing may be on the wall for Nintendo at E3. They very publicly eschewed the whole concept of a big stage show. Was last year their first year doing that?
No, it was a couple years into it.
Okay. Yeah, so
they
have
did the
their
Robot
E3
Chicken
Direct.
thing. They did the Robot Chicken thing, if you remember.
And they also did the. I think their first year was the nondescript action figure man.
No, I think that there was still a stage show involved there. I could be
was
mistaken. It's all blurred at this point.
Oh, you're right. There was like an intro video, but those intro videos got longer and longer until they just turned into the whole thing.
Right. I don't.
Which good for Nintendo, honestly, because their brand of. I guess Nintendo's appeal is a little too nerdy for the big boisterous machismo that's sort of required by a stage show, which is, granted, it's a little outdated of a concept, and it was a lot of fun to be there in person last year for Microsoft, but ultimately I think Nintendo is interested more in controlling its message, which they can do much more effectively through a Direct.
Yeah, it was a lot of awkward dad humor from Reggie, mostly.
Yeah. They're just they need to edit themselves because those awkward half-second, beats that they wait a little too long to get onto the next thing, they add up and it starts looking, as you say, like an awkward event.
But I don't think this is really the death knell of E3, or I don't think the bells are ringing so much.
There are a lot of other, high-profile third parties that are pulling out of E3 as well. To ACZ's point.
Well, I mean, yes, but I think ultimately it is still the best way to get hyped for various game announcements because everybody's paying attention to the games world during that week. And yeah, I love E3, obviously. I'm very fond of it. I've loved it for 20 years, following it and going to it last year. But I think this is just a case of Nintendo is in complete disarray right now. They're in complete disarray following the Wii U's just utter failure. And there's no other way to define it as other than a failure. I mean, it...
Well, yeah, I don't know, because the Wii U was the platform that allowed Nintendo to launch Amiibo, so it's kind of a tangential success story.
Yeah, but you could say the same. I mean, the Amiibo works with the new Nintendo 3DS too. I mean, it's and I don't know what the legs of Amiibo are. The legs attached to things that look like Jolly Ranchers so they can be dramatically posed.
Such a bad idea.
If Amiibo sales are starting to dry up a bit, I think the boom, at least as far as scalpers go, has kind of dried up a bit. But yeah, I mean, the Wii U was a failure. Iwata unfortunately got sick and passed away, and some of their disarray may be related to that. Although you would think there would be contingencies, there would be things in place so they could move on without missing a beat, and maybe they are.
Now.
Yeah. But yeah, Nintendo is just in a bad place right now. In all my years of fandom, I've never seen Nintendo in the state they're in right now. Just catastrophic. And I'm overstating it a bit because they still have a large war chest. It's not like they're financially hurting at the moment, but they do need to get their feet back on the ground because they've been knocked out. I mean, I don't know. And I think they're not pulling out of E3, and we don't even know what the full extent of their E3 reveals will be. If they will be showing the NX, maybe they will have a stage show this year. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe it won't be playable, but they might have, at least hardware on display. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, to answer ACZ's question myself, I think it could kind of be the beginning of the end for E3, due to, Nintendo kind of showing a lack of interest, or at least a diminished interest, and some of the larger third parties dropping out. And then you've got people like Rare, for example. The timing of their Sea of Thieves contest, where they're bringing 6 fans to Rare, is fairly close to E3. I mean, I could envision a future in which game studios reach out to their dedicated fans to give them kind of a sneak peek, and maybe they could even give people digital downloads for those studios that can't afford to fly people out to the middle of England. But I could see that one day this whole concept of E3 could become totally fragmented, so that the companies are able to really hit those deep targeted audiences that can go back and proselytize on their behalf. Because there's the type of game that's successful at E3 is the sort with very broad but shallow appeal.
That I agree with. However, I think what we'll see, I disagree that this is the beginning of the end for E3. I think what we'll see is E3 evolving. Because I don't think E3 is just going to shrivel up and die and let that happen. I think what you'll see is E3 becoming more like the Comic-Con of video games.
Oh, you think they'll just open the doors?
Open the doors, there'll be media events, and I think you'll have maybe...
It's already such a mess at E3. Oh, God, can you imagine if the public could get in? Well, and that's not to say that, the people at E3 are highfalutin, that we can't let the public in. I'm just saying in terms of the bodies that are in that facility.
Yeah. But I think you'll also have maybe smaller E3s throughout the year, much like Comic-Con does, but there'll be the major one. If it's in Los Angeles or not, I don't know, but you'll have the major one in June, and then you'll have like E3 New York, in the fall or whatever.
Well, you've already got PAX, covering Australia and 3 areas of the U.S.
Right. Ultimately, I think the E3 brand is valuable, and I think you'll just see that evolve into more of a full-on convention type experience for gamers, and I wouldn't worry about the event itself. I just think, it's already changed quite a bit over 20 years. It was open to the public, and then it closed its doors again. I think you'll just see it evolve, and they'll try to court publishers and companies to come back to E3 if they're pulling out. But
there's literally no way to know.
Well, there is and there isn't. I mean, it's just. I think Nintendo, you can't really read too much into it from Nintendo because they're just fucked up at the moment.
Yeah. There are no tea leaves to read. I don't think they have a cup. Let's take. I think we have 3 more calls.
Oh boy.
Yeah, everyone wants to talk about this one.
Hey guys, Snorkel a Dolphin here. And with the NX launching in March, it doesn't really sound like that great news, but I was wondering what you thought about the mobile releases they have planned, with Fire Emblem, Animal Crossing coming out. How do you think they would implement a DK game on smartphones? Would they even put a DK game out? Or will Sakurai get his muddy claws into it and crash the mobile gaming industry? Thanks, guys.
Why are his claws muddy?
It's
a Snorkel.
The mud baths he bathes in to stay eternally young.
Oh, I thought that was like the blood of the innocent.
He does both. He starts with mud and he washes off with blood.
No, of course. You want to get the mud out of your pores with blood. Yeah, thank you. First time caller, I think. Snorkel the Dolphin.
Snorkel the Dolphin. That is his DK Vine forum username. Just in case you thought his parents were especially cruel.
Yeah. In our Twitch chat, by the way, Cameron is pointing out that is Snorkel's canonical voice. So from Banjo-Kazooie. Thank you for calling.
At least until his vocal cords were ripped out by that anchor.
Oh yeah, the one that completely bifurcated him. So from what I understand, the Animal Crossing and Fire Emblem smartphone titles are going to be game oriented. They're not going to be social media platforms like Miitomo, but they will sort of enhance the experience of playing the dedicated system games.
I don't understand what that means.
I'm guessing
just jargon.
It's like training a character in Fire Emblem or your army to increase stats, or perhaps in Animal Crossing, you can trade items with people via Bluetooth, or I'm sure there will be some more social integration in Animal Crossing because that's the type of game that is.
Right.
But I think that the appeal is not going to be standalone. I think they're really going to be supplementary.
So
in nature.
basically, it sounds like it might be what I suggested Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS should be, which is
the dojo.
Yes, the dojo. Which it should not have been a full standalone game. Come on. Yeah, I mean that
for a DK game. What do you think?
I'm trying to think. I mean, we mentioned that I think King of Swing would be a good idea for a mobile game. I think
absolutely, yeah. If you press both sides of the screen, you could keep your fingers mostly out of the way, and those are really the only controls you need to focus on.
Yeah, I don't really know as far as ancillary supporting title to boost up a main console or handheld title. I'm not really sure what you could do with DK because I do not think Nintendo would even look to Donkey Kong for the iOS right now.
Well, I got an idea when we were talking to Andy Robinson and Steve Males last week. Cardos came up, and Andy was talking about how he had seen one of the minecart segments and was being a little coy about what form it would take. But it got me thinking, endless runners, or at least auto runners, are pretty popular on mobile devices. And there's actually a Rayman endless runner called Jungle Run, and I think it has a sequel, Jungle Run 2. It's a really fun title, and it runs for you, but you control jumping and punching. I was thinking that a minecart, or even a Flappy Bird style Retro Studios, what do they call it? The jet barrel.
Rocket barrel.
The rocket barrel would make a decent mobile game. You could set them down in a roller coaster and let them go, and you really all you have to do is hit the button to jump, and you'd be all set.
I think you mean Wario would make for a great minecarting game.
Yeah, because that is the way that they tend to go with minecart titles these days. Yeah, or references.
No, I'm sure they'll announce Donkey Kong's Crash Course for the iOS, and we'll get briefly excited before we remember it's arcade based.
Oh, but I actually enjoyed Donkey Kong Crash Course in Nintendo Land.
Oh yeah, that's right. You sold out. You sold out to Nintendo Land.
Nintendo Land is good. It's the only game in the Wii U library that actually makes full use of the gamepad.
That's usually the way Nintendo goes about it, though, because they've released one game that really kind of supports their new hardware, and then they just forget about it until near the end when they come out with Star Fox Zero. Oh shit, we got to do something with the gamepad.
All right, everyone, just flail it around and hit the button, and you'll shoot, and then you reset constantly.
I heard there's no radar in Star Fox Zero.
Oh, really?
How does that work with all range mode?
Well, I think that the freedom that they afford you by letting you kind of turn around and look all you want is maybe that's supposed to take the place, sort of balance it out, or
okay, real jet fighters wouldn't operate under that. Like, oh well, I can just turn around to see my enemy shooting at me from behind.
Yeah, why isn't Star Fox Zero realistic enough?
I'm just saying, I lived by the radar in Star Fox Assault. That's how you get the gold medals on every mission. Anyway,
yeah,
whatever.
All right, well, let's take another call.
All right.
Thank you, Snorkel.
Thank you, Snorkel the Dolphin.
Hi, this is Caricon. I wasn't going to call in today, but, I thought about it, and, I actually like Nintendo a lot more than a lot of people on DK Vine, including you two, obviously. I mean, like, I have my issues with them a lot. I mean, no self-respecting Donkey Kong and Paper Mario fan don't have issues, especially with Miyamoto. But I guess I kind of wanted to probably give a more positive viewpoint than I'm sure the countless negative viewpoints that you guys are going to have.
Callous.
And, you know, I was kind of shocked when I heard the news that the NX was going to be a March release, because that's usually a portable release, and that's not normal for what this thing is going to be. I was expecting it to be, you know, much more console, but I mean, maybe they really are trying to do something different with this. I'm hoping it doesn't mean that it's just going to be the successor to the 3DS. I really want it to be a console. I really want it to be more powerful, I guess, than a 3DS. I mean, I love portable systems, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, I don't want Nintendo to leave the console market entirely, and that's I've been afraid of for, like, the past year or so. But what really surprised me was knowing that they wouldn't talk about it this year at E3. That, I don't think that's a good idea. I know things haven't been going all smooth this plan since Iwata's unfortunate passing, but geez, they gotta tell us something. I do love Nintendo, but oh man, someone needs to guide them. Someone needs to guide them properly. And I'm just hoping that, you know, even if their public image hasn't been doing as well as it normally has lately, or their public planning sort of deals, I just hope it doesn't affect the hardware. But, you know, I'm hoping that all they don't talk about is Zelda. I want them to talk about more than just Zelda this year at E3. I know E3 is kind of like, not fading out, but it's coming close. Well, I mean, not coming close, but it's not as big as it used to be, but I still think, you know, you can't just come to E3 with only Zelda. You gotta bring at least something else. I don't know, that's really all I have to say. But, yeah, I'm hoping it doesn't mean portable. But still looking forward to what we do find out, when we find out about it. Who knows when.
Oh, okay. I think that Kara ran into our 3-minute limit on the phone calls.
Yeah.
But I think the call was more or less done. Thank you so much, Kara.
Thank you, Kara. Yeah.
Always appreciate hearing from you.
For the record, I do count myself as a Nintendo fan, not a Nintendo loyalist, but come on, Nintendo is who brought me to the dance.
Yeah. So something that Kara said kind of stuck out to me, the fact that Nintendo has said they will not talk about the NX. Do you think they'll just kind of show something and not comment on it? Are they being clever with their wording? Or is cleverness a little too much to expect of Nintendo these days?
I don't know. I really don't. I think... I mean, when would they show anything about the NX? Like, are they gonna like bring back Space World?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, if we are thinking that Nintendo is sort of getting rid of E3, or at least deprioritizing E3, then maybe something like Space World is ripe for a comeback, or a reboot, if you will.
I don't know. See, here's the thing, though. Like, I imagine maybe they will allude to some NX things. They might like have some footage of it in some sort of video presentation at E3.
Sort of like they did with the 100 Marios back in that became Pikmin in the early GameCube days.
Yeah. You might see. I mean, but I think we have more than glorified tech demos. We have games in development for this thing, from Retro, from Monster. I mean, Zelda itself will be on the NX. I don't know. And I find this frustrating because, as I said, I started my gaming life as a Nintendo fan. Yes, I became a bigger fan of Rare, over time to the point where they supplanted my Nintendo fandom, but I want Nintendo to always be around. I always want them to be doing well. Hell, I love Donkey Kong, and Donkey Kong is tied to Nintendo's success. If they're doing well, they're going to take more chances on games, including Donkey Kong. So
I don't mind the idea that Nintendo would just be a software developer. I know that's a pretty controversial issue in Nintendo fan circles, but I'm a fan of Nintendo's software. Their hardware has always just been a gateway to that software, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. Usually, it's not.
Yeah, well, their hardware used to be fantastic. It's been in rapid decline over the last 15 to 20 years. 20 years. Honestly, the N64. I mean, we love the N64, but it shouldn't have been cartridge based, really.
Right.
So I don't know. What I worry about is then you would only see Mario and Zelda and Pokemon games being made for these other systems. You wouldn't see the heavy hitters. It's like,
I think we talked about this previously, didn't we?
We did. And it's like I said, like, look at Sega. You only ever see Sonic games. Everybody else is lumped into these multi-franchise crossovers like Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Also, what do you think about the whole idea that this is a March release, which is really dedicated for handhelds? I feel like that. I don't think that. I think that's more telling of what the NX is than Nintendo getting out of the console market. I hope that the NX is them finally hybridizing their two pillars. Because obviously their console line could use like a steady IV drip from their handheld line.
Well, but here's the thing: why are handhelds always released in March? Is there any fundamental reason for that tradition, or is it just because
I think it's just that's where you put them?
Okay, I mean, because people are starting to go outside more because the winter is thawed and they want to bring their games with them. I don't know. Maybe that's the reasoning, but
no idea.
You would think still you're basically sacrificing your holiday season. You know, your biggest quarter of the year. Nintendo actually wants to make money this year, which I think they've given up on that idea, that notion. And maybe they are just viewing 2016 as a rebuilding year, and they're just taking their lumps, including a lack of presence at E3. Everybody's so glum about the future of E3 this week. Suddenly, I think this is just an extraordinary situation that we're not accustomed to. But I don't think it's going to mean this is Nintendo's last E3. I think this is just they literally, if they're not showing the NX for whatever reason, then they literally have nothing to bring to the table.
Mm. Well, thank you for the call, Kara, but we have one more that let's take before the show wraps up.
All right.
Hey, that Nintendo news today, it was kind of bad. So, all I want to say is that, don't you guys think it's kind of odd that the only game that we have at E3 can be Legend of Zelda? It's kind of crazy. And as well, what I like to say is that I don't know. It just doesn't seem that good for the company to have one freaking game for the console on the show floor, and I imagine it'll be the same thing at Comic-Con, which I'll be going to. So I'm probably not going to touch any of the Nintendo things. But with that said, my question is: do you think Nintendo's fucked? Like, forgive me for mentioning Disney, but you remember in 2005, Michael Eisner screwed up the company enough that Comcast was almost going to buy Disney out. Do you think that Nintendo, right now, they are in danger of being bought out by Comcast or any other large corporation with a lot of money to spend? Is Nintendo screwed? Are they going to be bought out soon? Are they fucked? Are they fucked? Alright, one more question. Are you guys going to play Zelda at E3, since that's all Nintendo's going to have? Bye.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a much easier second question than Mamechi usually gives us.
Yes. Well, let's answer the second question first.
Sure. Of course.
Yeah, we'll play it so long as they have enough kiosk, so long as they have enough booth babes telling you how to swing a sword.
I hope I look for booth babes to be part of the complete immersion of the E3 experience. So
right, so hopefully they will, be wearing the Deku mask or whatever, and.
Wouldn't that be amazing? if all their I hate the phrase booth babe. If all of their female booth attendants that are models hired from some Los Angeles casting studio are just Zelda themed, but non-sexy Zelda costumes. Like I want to see someone dressed as Darunia. That would be fantastic.
Oh my god. The mask salesman. That would be great.
The happy mask.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm a huge Zelda fan. Of course, I'll play it.
Yeah, we'll play it. I'm hoping if that is the only game they have, and if they have the same real estate at this E3, hopefully they'll have at least 30 or so TVs set up. But we'll see.
Yeah. We shall see.
As far as Mamechi's first question...
Yeah, will Cablevision be purchasing Nintendo?
Cabletown, yeah. Well,
is it Cabletown's the 30 Rock version, right?
Right, it was, their version of Comcast.
Well, I thought there is a company called Cablevision, isn't there?
Cabletown. Cabletown is 30 Rocks.
No, but in real life, there's a company. Isn't there a company called Cablevision?
I'm sure there is, but I don't know why we're arguing about this.
I thought they're like a huge cable provider, and that's the joke that, okay, who cares?
No, because Comcast was buying NBC, and then 30 Rock was making a joke that Cabletown was buying NBC in their fictional reality.
Oh, see, I thought it was a muddier joke than that.
No.
Okay.
No, Sakurai was not bathing in this joke. But as far as if Nintendo is about to be bought out by anybody, well, I wanted to wait to reveal this until E3. Mm-hmm. But there's a reason, Chad. We launched a Patreon back in October.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. We're buying Nintendo.
Oh, yeah, that reason. Yes, and you're correct.
Yes, because I have 3 shares in Nintendo stock, which puts me on the inside track.
Oh, yeah.
So
Hyle's the one they listen to at the board meeting.
It is. I was at the board meeting, in theory. And, yeah, we're going to buy Nintendo, and it's going to be nothing but Donkey Kong games. It's going to be a Donkey Kong factory. Even Zelda. It's just going to star Donkey Kong characters from now on, because why the fuck not? It's going to be a complete immersion of Donkey Kong games at Nintendo. It's going to be great. It's all we're going to show at E3.
We're going to drive Nintendo into the ground.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.